All right, old school NBA fans, self-research, NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. I want to give a special thanks to Psychum2539. Thanks a lot, my man. I really appreciate your support and your generosity. In this video here is quite simply something that you can just throw in people's faces, the ones that question Michael Jordan being the GOAT. This is something that is, in my mind, undeniable. Of course, people are always going to take angles to try to tear things down, but I don't know how this can be disputed, especially when you compare it against other greats. I took out the older all-time greats because there was few teams, and you were probably playing a lot of all-stars in every single series. Kind of hard to get a gauge on it. I gave up on it when I was doing Elgin Baylor. I just said, no, I'm only going to do the players who basically played since the merger. I did throw Kareem in there because he played the vast majority of his career after the merger. But what I looked at is, how did a player do when he had more all-stars than their opponent, the same number of all-stars as their opponent, and less all-stars than their opponent? How did they do? Now, I realize that isn't going to tell the whole story. There's been teams that have been excellent that maybe only had one all-star, like the Spurs come to mind. Tim Duncan's got a great record. Why? Because players like Ginobili, he didn't make a ton of all-stars. Bruce Bowen never made an all-star. And Tony Parker made, I think, 4 or 5. But you had those guys on your team every year. That's just an example of how you could have some really good players that didn't make an all-star team while playing with you. And some other guys had some fringe all-star type guys on their team, but not always. But this does give you a very good gauge when someone is the favorite, when it's evenly matched, or they're the underdog. So starting out with Giannis Antetokounmpo. First thing I'm going to look at is how these players did when they had more all-stars than their playoff opponent. Giannis Antetokounmpo 7 times was in a series where his team had more all-stars than the opponent. He won 5 of them and lost 2. That's a pretty good record, but you should be dominating in this situation as an all-time great. Nikola Jokic has never played a series in which he had more all-stars on his team than the opponent. Now, I'm including the player also. So in Nikola Jokic's situation, he made the all-star team every year he made the playoffs, so it's always going to be just one for himself. Now, he had Jamal Murray, who technically never made an all-star team, and there's another guy right there. This dude has multiple 50-point games in the playoffs. How many players have multiple 50-point games and never made an all-star team? I bet he's the only one. I bet you that's it. Kevin Durant, 19 times played a series where he had more all-stars than his opponent did. That's a lot. That's a huge advantage. But the results do not match that. Now in this one here, sure, he won 17 and lost 2. But 10 of those was 2017, 18, and 19 when he was on the Warriors. David Robinson only 4 times played a series when his team had more all-stars than his opponent. In fact, I think the only all-stars he ever played with was Sean Elliott, I want to say 1 year, and then Tim Duncan. I think that's it, just that. He was 3-1. Kevin Garnett played 12 series in which he had more all-stars than his opponent, 10-2 record. Karl Malone, out of 16 series, was 10-6. Moses Malone, 7 times, he was 5-2. Steph Curry, man, when he gets the better team, he dominates. 24 times, he was 23-1. Of course, they had a lot more all-stars than usually every opponent they played. Dr. J, in 15 series, 11-4. That's good. LeBron James, 27 series where he had more all-stars than his opponent, 24-3. Shaquille O'Neal, out of 27 series where his team had more all-stars, 21-6. Tim Duncan, out of 19 series, just like Kevin Durant, 17-2. Hakeem Olajuwon, out of 7 series, 4-3. Larry Bird, out of 30 series, 24-6. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, out of 26 series, he was 23-3. Kobe Bryant, out of 21 series, 17-4. Magic Johnson, in 29 series, he was 25-4. I put 4.5 because actually one of those was the 89 finals where he only played half the series. So technically, maybe you could call it 30 series and you could go 25-5 if you want to be technical, but I kind of leaving it where it is. And then you got Michael Jordan. You give Michael Jordan more All-Stars than his opponent, and he's undefeated. 13-0. These are the GOAT-like credentials that I'm talking about. Now, how about a player who had the same number of All-Stars versus their opponent? Pretty evenly matched in a lot of these cases. Giannis had 4 series, 1-3. Nikola Jokic had 8 series. He's 7-1. That's great. Kevin Durant had 9 series. He's 4-5. David Robinson in 9 series was 7-2. I know Duncan had a lot to do with that. Kevin Garnett in 7 series, 3-4. Karl Malone in 14 series, 6-8. Moses Malone in 7 series was 2-5. Steph Curry in the 3 series he played with the same number of All-Stars as his opponent, 1-2. What do you think about that? And the one was just this last year, Houston Rockets. Dr. J, 5 times, he's 4-1. Great record. LeBron James in 12 series, where he had the same number of All-Stars as his opponent, he went 8-4. Pretty good. Shaquille O'Neal in 13 series, 10-3. Better than LeBron. Tim Duncan in 11 series was 6-5. Hakeem Olajuwon in 8 series was 4-4. Larry Bird in the only 3 series when he had the same number of All-Stars was 0-3. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the 9 series that he had the same number of All-Stars as his opponent, he was 8-1. That's excellent. Kobe Bryant, in his 14 series that he had the same number of All-Stars as his opponent, 13-1. That's great. In fact, that's about the best on the list if it wasn't for Magic Johnson. In 6 series with the same number of All-Stars as his opponent, 6-0. And Michael Jordan in 12 playoff series with the same number of All-Stars as his opponent, 10-2. And I believe that was quite simply 1988 and 1989 against Detroit. Now we get to series where the other team has more All-Stars than you do. So you're probably at a disadvantage. Maybe not, but this is a good indicator. Giannis Antetokounmpo in 4 series where he had less All-Stars than the opponent, he's 2-2. It's actually not terrible. Nikola Jokic in 6 series, he was 2-4. Most of these guys are going to have losing records. Kevin Durant was 1-3. David Robinson was 3-6. Kevin Garnett, 0-6. Karl Malone, 2-4. Moses Malone, 3-4. Steph Curry, 1-2. So if you're keeping track at home, when Steph Curry does not have more All-Stars than the opponent, he's 2-4. Something to keep in mind to those who think Steph Curry's a top 10 player. Yeah, when he's always got a stacked squad, but as soon as he doesn't, he gets beat. Dr. J is 3-5. LeBron James, when he had less All-Stars than his opponent, had 14 series, he went 7-7. Now that's not bad compared to all the other all-time greats, but still, not a winning record now, is it? Shaquille O'Neal, 1-1. That tells me that he had the same or more All-Stars in almost every series. Tim Duncan, in 13 series, was 10-3. That's a great record. A great record. Hakeem Olajuwon, 7-5. That's awesome. Larry Bird never played a series where his team had less All-Stars than the opponent. Always something to keep in mind about Bird. Those who think he's like top 3 or 4, no. This is one of those things, is why it shines a light on it. Getting upset 7 times with a home court advantage. He never beat anyone that he didn't have the same or more All-Stars. In fact, he was 0-3 against teams that had the same number, and he was 0-0 when his team had less All-Stars than the opponent, because it never happened. So that means if he didn't have more All-Stars than his opponent, he's 0-3. That's got to mean something. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, in his 14 series, 6-8. Exactly. So he had a great record when he had the same or more. But when he has less, I don't think so. Losing record. Kobe Bryant, out of his 6 series, 2-4. Magic Johnson was 1-3. But Michael Jordan, in his 12 series, when he had less All-Stars than the opponent, 7-5. Winning record. So out of all these all-time greats, the only ones that had a winning record when they had less All-Stars than their opponents was Tim Duncan at 10-3, Hakeem Olajuwon and Michael Jordan were both 7-5. That's it. That's nice to be on that short list like that. And again, I understand Duncan had Bruce Bowen, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. He didn't make a ton of All-Stars. Young, Kawhi Leonard. He started making All-Star, I think, in like 2015. But those first couple of years he wasn't. But he was a marquee player. He won Finals MVP. So when Jordan has the same or more All-Stars than the opponent, he's 25-2. It's a wrap, basically. And if you want to look at it when he has the same or less, he's 17-7. Still winning way more than he's losing. Very interesting stuff to me. And here's a clip of 2 games. Everybody knows about The Shot. Michael Jordan, 89 first round against Cleveland. Cleveland had 3 All-Stars on that team. Larry Nance, Brad Daugherty, Mark Price. And they had another guy who was right in line with the scoring with those guys, Ron Harper. So you got 4 guys giving you 17, 18 points a game. He didn't make All-Star, but it just goes to show you that Cleveland was a very good, well-rounded team. And Michael Jordan, before the game where he hit the shot in games 3 and 4, he scored 44 points in game 3 and 50 in game 4. Enjoy.
Daugherty likewise has not been a big scorer, but this man has. Michael Jordan. Down to Jordan. The fadeaway from Michael Jordan. Jordan for 3. A three-pointer from Michael Jordan. Down, got the ball loose, and got it to Jordan.
Again. Long pass to Michael, left-handed off the glass. It's picture perfect.
2 minutes to go. The Cavs have a foul to give. Jordan on the drive, and the big basket. He'll go to the line for a three-point play.
No one else is a threat from there.
Stolen. Jordan. It's going to be big.
Grant underneath to Michael. Against Harper. Down to 3 seconds left on the shot clock. He's going to have to hurry. He couldn't have timed it any better. Minutes to go in the quarter. Jordan. Boy, he's going to one-man. And they give it to Michael. And Michael delivers. Again. Another jump shot. Another 2 points. He has 38, and he has taken this game over.
So anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you wouldn't mind sharing it, that would be great. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I give daily content. And that's it. Until next time.